Top 10 main event wrestlers with goofy debuts. Number 10. Raven. Widely regarded as one of the best talkers in wrestling industry, Raven reached main event status in ECW, where his feud with the Sandman is considered one of the most intense in the history of the company. Before reaching that point though, Raven, whose real name is Scott Levy, had a stint both in WCW and WWE. In WCW, he debuted as Scotty Flamingo, a surfer from Florida, even carrying a surfboard to the ring, while in WWE, he was a manager named Johnny Polo, acting like a rich and spoiled preppy kid. While Scott Levy talent made those two gimmicks believable and somewhat entertaining, they are light years away from the complexity and seriousness associated with the iconic Raven character. Number 9. Dolph Ziggler. We've got two words for you: Spirit Squad. Created by Vince McMahon himself, in theory, this stable was born to support the chairman of WWE during his feud with Shawn Michaels. In practice, DX repeatedly beat up and made fun of the Spirit Squad, running their credibility to the ground. As much credibility a male cheerleader group can have to begin with. While the main eventer status of Dolph Ziggler in WWE is very debatable, the show-off is a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion and currently scheduled to be in the main event match for SmackDown against Dean Ambrose for the title at SummerSlam. Not to mention that still being employed in WWE after being in the Spirit Squad is a main event accomplishment itself. Ask Kenny Dykstra or Johnny Jeter. Number 8. Diamond Dallas Page. DDP is one of the most popular main eventers WCW created during the Monday Night Wars, probably surpassed only by Goldberg and Sting among the WCW originals. Which is pretty peculiar if you consider that Dallas debuted in the business not just at an old age, but not even as an active wrestler, as he started out in Ted Turner Company as a manager for the Freebirds. He competed in his very first wrestling match at the tender age of 35 years old, and the rest is history. Feel the bang! Number 7. Jeff Hardy. Way before winning countless tag team titles with his brother Matt Hardy, or putting the WWE title on his waist, beating Triple H and Edge, Jeff Hardy debuted in a WWE ring against none other than the bad guy himself, Razor Ramon. Tough luck, Chico. The match was a complete squash, during which Razor Ramon executed cockily all his trademark moves on a helpless Jeff, as per tradition during 1994 on WWE TV. Or current WWE TV when Braun Strowman enters the ring. On the other hand, how many wrestlers can boast to have debuted on TV at just 16 years old? Number 6. Steve Austin. Good old Steve Austin didn't debut in WWE with the Stone Cold gimmick at first. While the excellent mic skill and the intensity of the character were already there in his very first promo on WWE TV, the Ringmaster gimmick appeared very generic, almost like a 5-minute custom created wrestler out of a WWE 2K game. And as someone pointed out in the comment section, he looked disturbingly similar to Bender when he became human. Number 5. The Rock. It's safe to say that the debut of the most electrifying man in sports entertainment wasn't electrifying at all. A third-generation wrestler, Dwayne Johnson made his WWF debut as Rocky Maivia, a combination of his father and grandfather's ring names. Being pushed heavily despite the lack of in-ring experience and portraying a cheesy, clean-cut face gimmick, pretty soon the audience rejected him starting Die Rocky Die and Rocky Sucks chants. After this, he formed the Nation of Domination stable alongside Farouk, D'Lo Brown, and Kama. He turned heel and began referring to himself in third person, performing explosive promos full of creative insults. A megastar was born. Believe that. Number 4. Bautista. The second most successful WWE superstar at the box office sported his own clunky debut. While in Ohio Valley Wrestling, he was performing under the badass gimmick of Lafithian. For his WWE debut, Dave Bautista was christened Deacon Batista, the bald, massive, and evil-looking enforcer of Reverend Devon. The idea wouldn't sound that bad if Deacon Batista didn't show around with the cheesy donation box tied to his neck with a huge chain. Number 3. Kevin Nash. Truth to be told, Kevin Nash's very first debut in WCW was a Masterblaster Steel, which, while it was a little cheesy gimmick inspired to Road Warriors and Demolition, it would have not deserved such a high position in this list. So let's focus on his second WCW debut, the Great and Powerful Oz. Sporting an entrance that featured a castle in the background and the Great Wizard as a manager, Nash entered the ring wrapped in a fluorescent green cape and having a bearded gummy mask on his face. At that time, it was kinda hard to guess this guy would have revolutionized the business in a few years, founding the New World Order. Number 2. Triple H. One would expect that Triple H, the Game, the Cerebral Assassin, the co-founder of one of the most sacrilegious stable of all time, debuted with a badass renegade gimmick. Right? Of course not. During his very first match on Raw on May 1995, Triple H was acting like a Connecticut blue blood, proper manners and bows included. Forget the iconic metal intro of Time to Play the Game. At the time, his theme song was a classical tune that even your grandmother would find ancient. Basically, the only thing in common that Hunter Hearst Hemsley and the current version of Triple H has, it's the pedigree. Talking about some real evolution. Number 1. Kane. While competing for a while under the moniker Unabomb, and even fighting a dark match on Raw with that gimmick, Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, officially debuted on WWE TV as Isaac Yankem, Jerry Lawler's private dentist. During that time, Lawler was feuding with Bret Hart, and supposedly he brought in Yankem due to his huge size, which should have helped in finally getting rid of the Hitman. Needless to say, the plan didn't work out, and after that, Isaac Yankem basically became a jobber to the other superstars. After 1 year, the dentist gimmick got retired, and Glenn Jacobs came back with another very controversial character, the Fake Diesel. This stint lasted not even 8 months, but as they say, third time's the charm. And when Glenn Jacobs re-debuted as Kane in October 1997, he endured 2 decades of ongoing destruction in one of the most successful run in the entire WWE history.